So last week we were able to finish the tiling, the coping, and all the grout for the pool. And now the pool is ready for the final stages to get it ready to be prepped. Stay with me in this video so we can put the final touches on the pool and get ready to swim in this thing. Let's get at it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. And thank you guys for staying with me along the journey. If you haven't already, check out those links in the description, or there might be pop-ups every once in a while to see the other videos for the pool construction. Now, if you've made it this far, you've seen us go through all the phases from excavation to the pool equipment, all the way to last week where we're able to complete the tiling, the coping, and all the grout for the pool. And the pool shell is immaculate. It looks awesome. You might be able to tell from looking around, but this week, what we ended up doing, and what I'm going to talk you guys through is we finished all the decking and we had to put in a baby fence around the pool to pass the security inspections for the pool. So this week, we're going to be talking about the decking and what you can expect if you decide to use a decking. I'll tell you what decking I chose, and I'll put up the links to all the contractors as usual, and I'll tell you which baby fence I put up and why I went about it versus using alternate methods for the security. Don't worry, as usual, timestamps will be available, links in the description. You guys know the drill, so don't worry about it. Whatever you need to find or questions that you need, if it's not in the description, message me and I'll be happy to answer the questions. So without further ado, I'm super excited. I hope you guys are to see what happened this week. So let's talk about it and let's check it out. So once again, the guys were back at it again. And like I said before, the pool is coming to a close. And the guys were pretty much getting ready to wrap things up. So one of the final things that had to be done, of course, was that we needed to go ahead and tie the coping into the decking. Now, the decking that I chose and decided to go with was from a company called Gem Pavers, and it's a 16 by 16 travertine deck, and it matched the coping and that went all the way around the pool. So in order to start the process, the guys have to go around the pool and make sure that the surface is pretty much at the level that it needs to be and compacted. So you can see them running around here with a compactor and wetting the floor, making sure that everything is as level as it needs to be. Once they got everything leveled, the next phase was to transfer all the sand and get the leveling sand as the base. And as you can see, they're spreading the sand all the way around, starting on one side of the pool and working their way all the way to the other end. Once they had the sand pretty much at the level, the guys would come around and check to make sure that the high spots were taken out, and if there were any low spots, they were filled in. And just to make sure that they were as even as possible and not to run into any problems along the way, they had to go through and make sure that everything was pretty much done properly and they were satisfied. And once they were satisfied, the guys would come in and bring the tiles one by one, well, actually wheelbarrow by wheelbarrow loads, and they would bring them in and load them up. One guy would be loading and the other one would be laying them and getting them as flush as possible in the pattern that we chose. So for our choice, we decided to go with a staggered pattern versus a flush pattern. We just thought it would be a little bit different to break things up. The interesting thing about laying these tiles is that obviously from what you can see, the actual intricacies is in the prep. Once they had the surface prepped and the sand leveled, everything just went together. It was pretty much like putting this thing together like a jigsaw puzzle, making sure that all the pieces fit together and there were no loose tiles as they were working their way around. Once they were able to complete the tiles for the most part, the guys would then walk around and they would check everything, making sure that everything was level. And once they were satisfied, they ended up working their way around the sides and they trimmed off all the excess pieces with a concrete saw to get the edges all square and nice. You can see all that smoke coming around. That's from them cutting with a concrete saw. So this was just the final touches that they would have to do to get the edge perfectly straight, and they wouldn't have any edges hanging off and being uneven, pretty much. Once the guys were done with the pavers, they then went around with concrete to form a little edge on the outside. This was just basically to keep the pavers in place so that they wouldn't shift around. Just like a kind of like a border at the edge. After this, all the guys had to do now was clean the deck. They cleaned it with some water and just washed it off. After that, they started to use some sort of grout sand with water again, and they pushed it into the joints to hold them all in place. And then they worked their way all the way around until they were done. All right, once the guys were done with the decking, the next thing was to clean out the pool. Now, over the week, the pool had collected a bunch of stuff that's down there, whether it was leaves, dirt, whatever it was, all kind of gunk that was down there, leftover concrete, you name it, it was down there. The pool company had one guy basically come in, and this was his job. All he had to do was clean out the inside of the pool to make sure it was ready. So when they got to the final phase of putting in the plaster, it had a good clean surface for them to apply the plaster. I won't lie, this job looked tedious, but it was necessary. The guy basically ended up just washing out the pool, washing it out all the way to the drain, scooping out all the excess dirt that was left in the bottom. And once he was able to get all the material out, then he could focus on preparing the surface. He ended up having to wash it off with some sort of acid, and I'm guessing this was to like etch the surface. And once he was done with that, you know, he continued scraping and making sure that the bottom of the pool was in good condition to receive the surface prep once they were ready to put the plaster in place. At this point, they were pretty much done with the project in terms of the pool, and they ended up coming back with the bobcat. They used the bobcat to get all the loose material and anything they could pick up, and basically any stuff that was laying around the yard. And they also, at this point, started to put down some last bit of sand to level around the pool, just to give the area around the pool a nice finished look for when we decide to put the grass and the landscaping and all that fancy stuff once the pool is complete. So in the interior, once the interior of the pool was as complete as possible, the next step was to go back and finish any of the little details inside the pool. For example, we have umbrella holders in there. They had to go ahead and put them in. You can see there are some missing stuccos around. The guy would work their way around, making sure that, like I said before, the bottom and the surface was as level as possible. And once they've done this process, the pool is in the final stage, ready to be plastered and ready to be filled. Not so fast. We have one more thing to do before we actually fill and plaster the pool, and that's to put up a baby fence. Now, in our community and in our municipality, it's required to have some sort of safety feature. The options we had were either a baby fence or a pool alarm, or a door alarm. We opted for a baby fence because we actually have family members that have smaller kids, and we thought it was in our best interest, well, in my wife's best interest, to put up a baby fence. And we could always remove it when we're not using it, so that's the route we decided to do, and go ahead and install a baby fence. Now, the installation of the baby fence was a lot faster than I thought, and the guys just had a core drill machine that they used, and they went around, measured for the post, and drilled all the holes for the post. Once they were done drilling all the holes, they basically just work their way around. And once they had this in place, they just essentially put the screen in place and put on the gate and made their way around. Now you guys can see the machine that they had used. It's a core drill machine, and it had this little bit that they used to drill down into the pavers. And they put a little sleeve in, and then after they put the sleeve in, they can slide the fence into it. So yeah, it's pretty much rinse and repeat. The guys would work their way around, and you can see them here hammering down the sleeves into the ground to receive the post. This was on the exterior of the pool where we didn't have decking, so this was what they had to do for that. Now, they were able to just drill the core drill holes down and make a nice neat hole. It literally took 15 seconds for them to drill each of the holes. But once they were done drilling, it removed a little core of the travertine, and they were able to slide their sleeve down so that it could receive the post. And here's a look at the core that comes out. And that's it. Once they were done with all the holes, the guys just made their way all the way around the pool to make sure that the fence was level, put it all in place. And with that, they were done with the baby fence and on to the final stages of the pool. And with that, we're going to wrap things up, and it brought this week to a close. All right, and welcome back, guys. With that, the pool is pretty much almost ready to be filled and plastered. All right, so let's wrap this thing up. I'll talk to you guys a little bit about what went on. You could see we ended up doing the decking and the baby fence. The pool is pretty much at the final stages now. The last thing left to do is to do the filling, the plaster, and they're going to turn over the pool equipment and show us how to use everything, add the chemicals, and we'll be ready to swim. If you guys enjoyed the content so far and you guys enjoyed being along the journey, don't forget, hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Next week, we're going to be in for an action-packed week where it's going to be the last stages of the pool build. Remember, as always, I'm going to leave links in the description to all the contractors. If you guys are ever in the area and need to get a pool installed, I'll leave all their information below. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I look forward to talking to you guys and seeing you guys next week. All right, I'll see you guys later.